Hello, everyone. This is Laughs of Redemption, and it is July 2nd, 2024. Um, it's around 10:25 p.m. when I'm starting to record this. I was having to mess with the levels again. It's been a little while since I've recorded, so hopefully I sound loud enough and not too loud. Let's see. So, just want to say, how's everybody doing out there? I hope you have been having a good summer. I've been trying to keep busy, excuse me. I am having some chocolate chip cookies and chocolate milk. Yep, I am eating bad food. I got it from this local deli that's going to be closing, unfortunately, up the street. And so that's sad because they had some stuff I liked. It was nice having the little local deli close by. And things are changing. So sometimes change sucks. Unless it's a quarter. I like quarters. Um, yeah, so this is going to be another one of my random solo episodes. I did very little to prepare other than the fact that I made a point to record today because I have not been recording. Just see, it felt like a lot was going on. By the time I'd get home, I was feeling tired. So if there is anyone out there out of my 11 subscribers or whatever it is that I have right now, honestly, I can't remember. Let's see. Yep, 11 subscribers. I have 17 on the old podcast, Don't Be a Taco podcast. There are 17 subscribers there. It's still on YouTube. Um, let's see. What has happened? The debate. I'm just going to put it out there. I love RFK Jr. If there was ever an independent to vote for, it would be this election and this person. So I think the stars are aligning. I just hope people get out of this mindset of it'll never happen because it's a two-party system. Well, guess what? Two-party system ain't working out too well, is it? Huh? We're facing corporate capture. That's happening. CNN colluded with both candidates for the Republican and Democratic Party to make the criteria for the debate pretty much impossible to meet so that a third candidate would not be on the stage with them because of the incompetence of these other two. And most of the world, at least when I go through YouTube videos, most of the world seems to be sick and fed up with this two-party system, being forced into this two-party system, which we don't even need to be forced into. It just takes a bunch of people to say we're tired of it and just don't vote for them. It's that easy. It's that easy. I don't know why people are so stuck with it. Some people are just so stuck in this red and blue, like, oh, it has to be that way because it's always been that way. Well, our first president, George Washington, was an independent. And according to what I've found out, George Washington made it a point to warn us of creating parties, but we went and did it anyway. Independence Day is coming up 2 days from now. I will be working on Independence Day. Unfortunately, I will not be working independently, other than being when I'm in my car driving, I guess. But so that's coming up. Um, we declared our independence from Great Britain because of corporate capture of the tea trade. I'm not like complete. Like first of all, I'm not like completely brushed up on all of my history, but I enjoy history, and um, this is something I recently like. I've heard this before, learned this before, but um, we chose to not pay the 200% tax or whatever it is, um, or was, I mean, with the tea tax, and they made that tax so that we were kind of forced into having to buy our tea and spices from whatever the corporation business was, from England or whatever. And America chose to say no. And we can choose to say no. We're tired of that shit. Again, anytime we feel like it's coming to, like, getting out of hand, and it's getting out of hand. It's been getting out of hand. I'm putting all this very lightly. This is the end of the day here. I did a lot of work today, in and out of my house, inside and outside. But anyway, I don't really want to ramble on too much about it. But if anybody watched the real debate that RFK Jr. did on X and on therealdebate.com, I believe it was also airing on Rumble, and I don't know if that was associated with X or not, formerly Twitter. But I watched that one, and these two knuckleheads, one can't put sentences together or thoughts in a consistent manner, and the other is a narcissist. They both lied. They were both lying. And it's like watching Grumpy Old Men. If anybody remembers the movie Grumpy Old Men, I was like, is this part? I don't know how many there are. There's 2 or 3. I thought, I was like, is this Grumpy Old Men part 4? And then you have RFK Jr., who aired his own debate, answering the same questions with a moderator, giving him the same amount of time, cutting him off just like they cut off the other two, Biden and Trump, when their time is up. And what they did was if you haven't watched it, what they did was aired. They had a big screen. They had RFK at a podium. They had the moderator. They had an audience, and they would air the first question, and then they would give RFK Jr. 2 minutes to respond. After we listened to the other two candidates answer. Then they would pause it. He would respond, and then they would continue to the next question, and then he would listen to both of them, and then he would respond. And just watching him watch them when they're like arguing about their golf game, and they're going back and forth saying, you were the worst president. No, I wasn't. You were the worst president. No, I wasn't the worst president. No, you were the worst president. You were the worst president ever in the whole entire place of the earth. You was the worst president ever. No, I was. You were administration. You did so bad to the world. It was insane. It was like watching 2 12-year-olds argue. Like, no, I'm not, you are. No, I'm not, you are. It's like two old Pee Wee Hermans. I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? Like, it was just, it was so terrible. And then you see RFK Jr. just watching them the same way we're all watching it. And he looks at the moderator a couple times throughout the thing and just chuckles like at the ridiculousness of these two old children. That alone, like it's just like the maturity alone. What does that tell you? Just the maturity alone. You know, and another thing that there's and just honesty, integrity, maturity, his health. This guy's doing he has a workout regimen every day. He doesn't eat processed food. He intermittent fasts. He can do 25 pull-ups in one shot. Like, the guy is in shape. I watched him blow out his 70th birthday candles. I swear Superman came down, swooping down to blow him out for him because it was like, whew, and that was it. Anyway, but there's so many people that are listening to what these commentators on talking about them. They're listening to the people that they listen to talk that are for their blue or their red talk about RFK Jr. And of course they're going to talk about him in not the best light because they don't want you to look into him. They don't want you to look it up. They don't want you to see what he's really been up to. They want you to believe all the propaganda and bull crap that was going around about him in the early 80s or late 80s, whatever it was, in the 80s sometime. And a lot of the boomers, now there are boomers that are out there that are for him. They're sick of the bullshit and they're for him. But I have family members and other people who are like in their 50s or up. They have their mindset on what they were told by the media then, instead of actually looking him up and listening to what he has to say. The man's not crazy. Even he was on Joe Rogan Experience. Joe Rogan just posted the episode 1999. RFK Jr. was on that episode. That episode is older, and it was just posted on YouTube 4 days ago. And I watched it when it came out. And he's on like 2000 and I don't know which one what is he on right now? Let's see. 2000 something. I don't know how much it matters, but for the sake of me needing to know. Yeah, right now he just released 2172nd episode. So 173 episodes ago is when RFK Jr. was on, and he just put that episode on YouTube 4 days ago. Okay. Even at listen to the first 7 minutes of that episode and see if you don't want to continue listening to it. Just the first 7 minutes. Because even Joe Rogan said there's this narrative about him. He read a couple headlines. People told him what they thought they heard of him or whatever back in the 80s or whenever. And he just decided, oh, that guy's crazy. Blah, blah, he's a conspiracy theorist, blah, 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 blah. Non-vaxxer, da, 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 da. And then he goes and reads The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And then he runs into him in Aspen, and now then he ends up on this podcast, and he tells him he used to think that of him, but now he doesn't so much because now he wants to listen to what he has to say after reading that book, listening to that book. I haven't listened to the book yet. I want to listen to the book. I haven't gone around to it yet. But that is an example of somebody who had a narrative put into their head, decided to just believe what they were told by other people without looking into it themselves. Now we have the internet, so we can look up things that we couldn't look up back in the 80s. And then you find out the guy's not crazy. He's passionate. he does his research. Excuse me. he so I strongly suggest to anyone who has it stuck in their head that they're just going to believe what they're told by someone else to look him up and see what he's been saying himself. He's putting clips and videos out about what his stance is on different issues. What he wants to do as president with his policies and how he really truly wants to help this country. These other two clowns are not talking about this stuff. Fixing the national debt, trying to get out of war so we're not spending, trying to fix the health of the Americans, health of us, our children, and our health, so that our how do I want to say, what am I supposed forgive me, so that we're not spending so much money, I should say, on healthcare, and in creating jobs, fixing the middle class. He's definitely has been an advocate for the environment. And hey, New York, he's the reason you have clean water to drink. He cleaned up the Hudson River. He talks about that at the beginning of the episode on the Joe Rogan Experience. He's been on the Andrew Schultz's podcast. He's been on Theo Vaughn's podcast. He's been on, but there's I can't even remember, recall all of them. There's just too many. He advocates for the firefighters, and I really believe, truly, would wish people would. There are people that are doing this, but I wish more people would look him up and listen to him. That's all. That's somewhere I'm going to leave it. That's it. I'm not going to ramble on too much more about that. But I've been pretty passionate about it, and so there we are. So anyway, and to each their own, you know what I mean? But honestly, I can't look at what he is saying and his policies, and they are everywhere. Like, people on the right say he's too liberal, and people on the left try to say he's too conservative, or they try to say he's crazy or something. You're voting for Joe Biden. He has one foot in the grave. He literally has dementia. He is not fit to be serving as president. He's not good for us. We need something new. We need something new. Okay. I'm not really articulating myself that well, so I apologize for that. I would be able to do it a little bit better if I didn't have such a long day, probably. But here I'm making myself do this because I've been slacking. Okay. Next. I did go see, I cannot remember if I did an episode after the Bert Kreischer Fully Loaded Comedy Festival. I went there with my friend Liz, and we had a blast. It was hilarious. All of the comics were great. Tony Hinchcliffe was there. What up, Tony? I love you. Bert came out with his wife, brought his wife out at the end, and they sang their version of In Spite of Ourselves by John Prine. I loved it. I recorded it. I think it's great. Maybe I'll use what I recorded. I don't know if I can. Is that okay to do that? I guess. I like to use a clip from what I recorded at the concert or comedy festival. Anyway, it was a really great time. Um, Bart's awesome. The Steelers were there. Um, Cam Hayward came out on stage, took his shirt off right before he introduced Bert, and Bert took his shirt off, and they stood next to each other on stage. Hilarious. Um, what else? We had a good time doing that. Um, oh gosh, I've just been working. I did put like I was working in my yard, and there's a section along the side of my yard. Like I have a half acre lot, and it goes all the way down the side, and I have to push mow it. Like it's like on a slant, so you have to like stretch your arm and bend over and like pull it up and down, pull the lawnmower up and down. So I have been not wanting to do that anymore. So I decided the 1 week that I was off, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, that I was going to start filling that in with mostly rock and then just like a couple perennial plants here and there. So I did one section so far. I dug an edge along the bottom. I had rock and dirt from last year. I bought some more uh, at Home Depot with plants. I got 2 Stella Dioras, 2 other like orangish reddish. They're not daisies, but they like a daisy look. I forget what they're called. And then one some kind of Rose of Sharon type of purple bush or something. And I'm drinking my milk. Sorry. So I'm still in. Oh yeah, I'm still intermittent fasting. I know I'm eating right now, but I'm still intermittent fasting. And forgive me because I'm trying to like get this little snack in that I wanted before it gets to be too late, even though it's pretty late now. And then start my fast. Anyway, yeah, so I put them, and I had like sea rock delivered. So it's a whole stretch of like 5 plants and all rock, and I really love it. And I had some big rocks that were dug out of my yard when I had the city water put in. So I took those and I put like those on the corners and a couple at the top, and then I had these little black pieces of fence that I had on a little corner lily garden that I had that the deer destroyed and the bunnies and stuff. So I spray painted those to with the Rust-Oleum black paint, kind of refresh them a little bit because they were a little bit rusty. And then I put those in between the rocks along the top. I was pretty proud of myself. I did all that work in 2 days. I worked from like anywhere. I think I started between like 4 and 5, 3 and 5 in the evening each day, and by the time I was done, it was like dark. So 2 days in a row. So that was a good workout. What else? Then today, I ended up spending time inside the house. I did laundry, I cleaned, ran the vacuum, and I finally had a couple coworkers come over and help me put some stuff up in my storage space. And I finally reorganized and cleaned up a little, like my garage. So I feel good about that. I feel really good about that. And I took the leftover rock from that section I did, and I did another little section that's in the front. There was like some big rocks and some pea gravel, and I covered up the pea gravel with the sea rock. I really love sea rock. It's awesome. It rocks. What else? I have not been to any open mics. I've been afraid to go downtown. and I've been working, and it's just been ever since that thing happened in the South Side that I talked about on the last podcast. I've been weary of going anywhere, especially by myself. So, and then I lost all my jokes. I think I talked about that too. I lost a whole lot of my work. So I feel like I'm kind of like starting over. And so I have a lot of irons in the fire, as my therapist said today. So I have not been doing the open mics. I wish I could just concentrate on just like podcast open mics and working out, but life is getting in the way, as it tends to do. I went on a date with a fella from United Kingdom. Is it the United Kingdom? Yeah. He's from England, and he was just in visiting. So we went out on Friday night and it was really fun. Um, the best the best was he was waiting for me at this little bar, and I meet up with him, and there's this um, very seasoned lady. She's elderly. It's like an elderly woman that was in the bar, and he tells me, he's like, yeah, they were all trying. Everybody in the bar was trying to guess where he's from because he had an accent. So he said when he told this lady he was from England, she looks at him and goes, "Oh, well, your English is very good." And I was like, "Oh man," I'm like, "Yeah, that's your English is better than everybody's in here." I was like, it's kind of where we got it from. Oh gosh, I thought that was hilarious. Um, what else happened? Oh yeah, and then you ever have one of those odd ducks come not just an odd duck, but like an aggressive, stocky, very drunken, high, odd duck try to infiltrate your space, and then like it felt intimidating and stuff, and he was like it was crazy. Anyway, we avoided him as much as we could, and um, the one thing that was really cool was I was showing I was showing him um, my date from England. I was showing him my backyard, and this summer, the fireflies, the lightning bugs, have been out strong. They have been out. I have like woods and trees in the back of my yard, and I have a couple trees in my yard, like three or four trees in my yard, and then the people across the street from me have like trees and stuff. And if it's hot and when it gets dark, it's like a light show out there. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's so beautiful. I had two friends so far over my house, and they were leaving. Both of them leaving at night. And they both noticed it. And we all like each time, like we took some time to like appreciate it and watch it, and I just love it. And there's just so many of them, and it's like freaking Avatar out there. I love it. So that was he loved that, and he tried to. It's hard to take a video and get the same effect. Like it doesn't do it justice. So, but he said he'd never seen fireflies before. So that was really cool that I got to show him something he never saw. He thought that was pretty awesome. Um, yeah. And then a friend of mine got him high with her weed pen, and he doesn't even smoke weed or hasn't for like 15 years or something. And he hits this weed pen like 3 times. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to be so messed up. Like, you're going to be so fucked up. And he was. I was immediately, almost immediately, the night was over. She didn't warn him before. And he had already been drinking since for like the past 6 hours or something. So he was, I had to bring him here and give him some like crackers and peanut butter or something else he's never had. I gave him a little thing of sherbet, vanilla ice cream, kind of like a creamsicle type of vibe, you know. And he never had that before. And anyway, it was cool. It was a cool time. And trying to think what else happened. I've been working, trying to pay the bills. But I don't know what else is going on. I can't even. There was a crazy thing that happened here recently. It was on the news. Um, uh, Good grief! I was trying to look up a news story, and it's not. It's not. It's not happening here. Anyway, this poor woman was walking down the main street from me naked and all beaten and bruised and burned and dirty. And I didn't see her, but my friend's boyfriend saw her. And the cops came and they got her clothes, and she was scared to talk and all this stuff, and we're wondering what the heck's going on. We're thinking it's the creepy ministry place that did it. Um, there's this ministry that bought a house off of the trail, and they play stuff like on a loudspeaker. It's just kind of weird. But it ended up being that she eventually like did talk apparently to the cops, and her this guy who was her boyfriend, 39-year-old white male, um, he had her like bound with rope and tape and like held against her will. She was strangled. She was he was charged with like 6 charges. I think they finally arrested him. I don't know if he posted bail or not. He may have, but I'm not sure. I hope not. This guy is not very nice. Um, yeah, and I feel so bad for her. Like, it's a shame she had to go through that. And I'm so glad she escaped. I don't know how she escaped. Apparently, like, she just, I don't know, whatever window of time she got to get out of there, because she was just walking down the middle of the road in the middle of the day, naked, completely, head to toe, and in shock. So, hopefully, she'll be able to, get some help and heal from that. So that's it's so terrible when things like that happen to people. Um, so from that story and my story that I told on a previous episode with how me and my friend almost got attacked by this faceless guy. I've been real nervous at night. Making sure everything's locked. I've been kind of like over vigilant, like trying to listening to any kind of little noise I hear outside. I have concrete block walls, so excuse me. So I don't know. I don't know what else. Not sure what else. I did process that experience that I had in the South Side with my EMDR therapist last week, and it was very interesting. The processing of that. So uh, we processed it. You have to talk about it and then figure out what core belief is coming out of like whatever traumatic experience you had. And it's like, well, I felt like we narrowed it down to like feeling like maybe I'm not prepared, or not. I don't know if it's prepared is the right word, but I'm not able to like protect myself. And there's a lot of different feelings that come up with that, like that experience I had. It's just not just anxiety and fear, but like anger and yeah, lots of fear and anger. And I think those are the two main feelings. So in my processing, and I don't know if you listen to the previous episode, you'll hear me explain the story of what exactly happened in order, like from leaving the club, getting walked to my car, the guy how he approached us or snuck up on us, and then my friend saw him. He's coming at us. My friend screams, "Run!" We run, and I yell, "Help!" a bunch of times and run as fast as I can back to where the show was that night. So when I was processing it, the moment in which this man turned to us with his face all wrapped up, wearing all black with his hood up, with a crowbar hanging out of his sleeve, my that exact moment, I don't know if you know what EMDR therapy is, but it's eye movement desensitization reprocessing. That's what it stands for. So your brain, I've explained this before, but your brain merges the wisdom and knowledge that you have now and like the time and like the reflection that you can do on a traumatic event, and it merges that information with the event that caused the trauma. So when it does that, everybody processes differently, and I get a lot of visuals, most of the time, things I'm saying. So in this moment, now this guy never got a chance to swing that crowbar at us because just before he was close enough to do anything to us is when we ran. And but in my processing, he swings the crowbar, and instead of fighting him, I take his arm, let it go, like I push it away from me, but down and up through his legs. This is in my head. Now this is in my head doing this while I'm processing this. I hit him in the balls with the crowbar. Now I'm angry. I grab him by the back of the hoodie or whatever, and I have the crowbar in one hand, and I'm dragging this thing that wanted to attack me back into the club, and I throw him. Now remember, it's all in my head. This is my head doing this. I throw him on the ground. I throw the crowbar on the ground, and I go, why is this still why isn't anybody ever doing anything about this? Like, I'm mad about this type of thing happening. Like, that's what I'm angry about that comes out in the processing. Like I'm sick of this. I'm sick of dealing with this shit. Like, I wish people would just, like, start doing something about this. And it's not just that exact incident, but, like, anything with, like, all this crime and, like, police presence and what, all this stuff like that. Just sick of the world being fucked up like this. And then my brain did this rewind. So it rewound. At one point it rewound. Literally, like I was like rewinding a tape in a VCR. Rewound my steps. Now, let me back up just a minute. My therapist wanted me to process this as if my friend wasn't there, because he wanted to see we wanted to process how I felt, what it's doing to me, what I would do, or, when I'm picturing me being in this situation by myself. Because that's what I was so afraid of. I was like, oh my God, what if I didn't? What if I would have went to my car by myself? Because I almost did. Oh my God, if my friend wasn't there, would I have noticed this guy? Would I have seen this? And I was so, just those thoughts of that were giving me very high, like, stress and anxiety and fear feelings. Sometimes the thoughts would come in, like, infiltrate my head, and I'd do one of those, like, little jump things, out of nowhere. Or if I'm like, I was be going to sleep, that guy would just pop in my head, or the thought of me being alone would just pop into my head. Thought of me being alone in that moment, or something bad happening, and it would scare me out of my sleep, stuff like that. So anyway, my brain does this rewind. Back across the other street, and I replay it as if I decided to go to my car by myself. And I'm scanning the area. I'm looking everywhere. I'm looking straight at, like, I've walked from the club down to the corner. I'm looking around me. I had to cross the street. I'm looking ahead of me, and ahead of me is where this man would have been, but, like, further into because it was like a corner. So further in, he would have been probably back there between the buildings in the dark, waiting. because that's where from what my friend told me that he noticed where he would have come from when he saw him out of the corner of his right eye when we were crossing the street. And we both felt that this person was waiting because my car was the last car in that corner. So in my reprocessing, I'm scanning and I notice him. I immediately pull my phone out of my purse and I start walking backwards across the street, keeping my eye on him, putting my phone and calling my friend. In my reprocessing, I'm calling my friend, but I know that I could have called 911. I could have called just the first person I would have thought of just to be on the phone and keeping my eye and going back to that side of the street, staying on the phone and walking back to the club where I would have stayed and had somebody like go get my car for me or something. So as well, first, as I'm telling you this, I do feel anxious. I feel anxious about it. I feel a little, it's still kind of, I have like a heightened feeling of fear or about it. But, and it might be the first, maybe second time since I've reprocessed that I've talked about my reprocessing in depth with the situation. Now, when I was doing the processing and we talked about what level I was, the therapist asked me, always asks, okay, when you're thinking about that situation in that moment, what's your level of stress on a scale of like 1 to 7 or 1 to 10 or whatever? So then as we process, he might stop in the middle and say, now how, like when you think about that exact thing again, how do you feel? And most of the time, it's not always a lot, but it goes down a notch or two. And during the processing on that day, when we were done, and he asked me, now how much do you like from a scale of 1 to 7 or whatever, how much do you believe that you aren't able to like look out for yourself in a situation, and the stress of that went down. So the level went down, like not being able, the belief of not being able to take care of myself. So the number you would want it to go down. And it did. And I didn't feel as anxious about the story on that day after we processed. Everything went down a couple of notches, like 2 or 3 notches. But a lot of times when you're doing EMDR, you have to process experiences more than once. You might have to really truly like squeeze all the juice out of the lemon. Really like clean it all up. And so anyway, it was interesting. It was interesting, and the EMDR did help a little bit. I was still a little bit nervous at night after we processed. Like I was still like I'm a little on edge. I'm a little like weary of what could be going on outside of my house. But I think it helped. It's helping. So there's that. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I have been rambling for almost 50 minutes now. I'm trying to think here. It's going to be July 3rd pretty soon. I I went to, oh yeah, the other thing I did, I went to my work daughter's graduation, high school graduation party, and I got to give her her gift. She loves Freddy Krueger, and I found her this awesome Freddy Krueger button-down baseball shirt, and she was in love with that, and I was so happy she loved it. And I got her, she likes the Beatles, which is so awesome. That an 18-year-old girl loves the Beatles, and um, so I got her, which I would love to have one myself, is like this Beatles lunchbox, but it's like a bigger, like a cooler thing. And I got her a Beatles poster. It's a golden pick, um, and I think it has the song "All You Need Is Love" on it. It's really pretty. And did I get her something else? Got her those three things. Oh, and I gave her a picture that I've drawn, a print of it. I gave her a print of the picture I drew. It's like a cheetah with a purple rose. I drew it a long time ago, and I found a print of it, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to give her this as like the card or whatever. So that was cool. I did that. I do enjoy giving gifts. That's one of my love languages. Um, I think quality time is another one, and I don't know. I really have to think about that, to be honest with you, because I think I'm so eclectic with things. I think it's like a little bit of everything. There's some song that's called a little bit of everything, I think. What else? That could be our song of the day. A little bit of everything. Or John Prine, In Spite of Ourselves. In spite of ourselves, we'll end up a sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize. We're gonna spite our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but a big old hearts dancing in our eyes. It's such a great song. It grew on me. Yeah, I thought it was very like odd and silly the first time I heard like other people sing it, and then it grew on me, and I learned the words. Um, so that'll be the song of the night, song of the day for the podcast. In Spite of Ourselves by John Prine. I don't want to play it because I don't want to have a copyright thingy majigger from YouTube. So I am gonna probably go in a minute here. We could do 1440 news real quick. See what's going on. Let's see. I'll just kind of go over it. Let's see. I have to get into my email. I like the 1440 when I'm in the mood to get a daily dose of what is going on. I pull up one of these bad boys and read through it real quick. Let's see. We're just going to kind of skim it. Immunity ruling. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 yesterday in finding the President of the United States has some immunity over actions conducted while in office. The case stems from former President Donald Trump's challenge to 4 felony charges over alleged interference with the 2020 election. The court's majority opinion draws a distinction between official and unofficial acts of the office of the presidency. Trump's conversations with the Attorney General are characterized as official acts, while conversations with others, including then Vice President Mike Pence, may be categorized as unofficial depending on the context. The court directs lower courts to parse through the allegations to determine which acts may be prosecuted as unofficial acts. The ruling was one of the four. Wait, I'm sorry. The ruling was one of four. I have to make this bigger. That's not letting me. The ruling was one of four the Supreme Court issued on its last day in session. The court kept a pair of state laws on social media content blocked while lower courts re examined First Amendment considerations. Another ruling extended the statute of limitations for businesses to challenge federal regulations. That's a whole lot to unload, and we're not going down that yellow brick road. Let's see. Boeing buys back supplier. Boeing has agreed to acquire longtime fuselage. I don't know if I'm saying it right. FUSELAGE supplier Spirit Aerosystems for $4.7 billion as part of efforts to improve the aerospace company's plane quality and safety. Spirit Airlines, I guess. Is that what that is? I'm skipping that. Next, bionic breakthrough. The bionic device developed at MIT allows people to control a leg prosthetic with their minds, according to a new study. The device can yield a more natural gait and reduce phantom limb pain, among other benefits. The prosthetic takes advantage of muscles' tendency to move in tandem, with control of one leg muscle signaling a complementary action in the other through the body's nervous system. While traditional surgery severs this muscle connection at the amputation site, a below-the-knee surgery can retain them. A bionic prosthetic can then use electrodes to detect muscle movements, resulting in a more natural gait than traditional robotic legs. In contrast, traditional prosthetics rely on pre-programmed gaits responding to environmental factors like terrain. The study has the potential to change the standard of care for hundreds of thousands of Americans who live with the loss of a leg. Researchers hope to make the bionic prosthetic commercially available within 5 years. There we go. It would be nice if we could fix diabetes so not everybody loses a leg, right? Is that just a foot? Reduce the diabetes so we don't lose the legs. I don't know. I know there's other reasons you lose legs. I'm just being stupid. All right. Let's see. Sports, entertainment, and culture. The 137th Wimbledon Championships began yesterday from the All England Club in London. Cool. Ismail Kader, world-renowned Albanian novelist and poet who was nominated for the Nobel Prize for Literature 15 times, dies at 88. Majority owners of the Boston Celtics plan to put the defending NBA champions up for sale. The franchise is valued at a reported $4.7 billion. That's crazy. YouTube introduces new policy allowing users to request the takedown of AI-generated content simulating their face or voice. Heck yeah! I'm not saying I have a problem with that because I don't know if I'd ever be popular enough for anybody to care to do that to me. But I do not like AI simulated voices. Like when I hear those AI voices on different advertisements and different videos on like Instagram and stuff. It's so fake and so annoying. I hate them. I hate them. Um, what else? Fossil discoveries suggest different species of grape plants proliferated following the extinction of the dinosaurs. Findings include a 60 million year old species, the oldest ever found in the Western Hemisphere. Huh, old grapes. I wonder what kind of wine that would make. I'm not a big wine drinker, but you probably wouldn't have to age it. Pre aged grapes. Let's see. Engineers develop nanorobots capable of killing cancer cells in mouse studies. Approach uses a kill switch that activates only in the presence of a solid tumor. Ew. So why can't we just cure cancer with frequencies like they were doing? And then somebody, I forget who it was. Let's see if I can look it up. Who invented a machine that used, I think it was frequency, to cure cancer? Let's see. Royal Rife. Let's see. Yeah. He was whole. Oh, okay. 1888. All right. Royal Raymond Rife. Here's our little. I don't know what you call. This is our history lesson. I don't know. This is, let's see. Royal Raymond Rife. It's an interesting name. Was born May 16th, 1888. Was an American inventor and early exponent of high magnification time lapse micrography. Micrography? Rife is known for his microscopes, which he claimed could observe live microorganisms with a magnification considered impossible for his time, and for an oscillating beam ray invention, which he thought could treat various ailments by devitalizing disease organisms using radio waves. Although he came to collaborate with scientists, doctors, and inventors of the epoch, and his findings were published in newspapers and scientific journals, excuse me, like the Smithsonian Institution Annual Report of 1944. They were later rejected by the American Medical Association, the American Cancer Society, and mainstream science. Rife's supporters continue to claim that impulses of electromagnetic frequencies can disable cancerous cells and other microorganisms responsible for diseases. Most of these claims have no scientific research to back them up, and Rife machines are not approved for treatment by health authorities in the world. Multiple promoters have been convicted of health fraud and sent to prison. Yeah, this might be the guy that I've heard about who they shut him up. Right? When he said he could cure cancer with this thing. I think this is him. I don't have a young Jamie. um, excuse me. So if anybody else is out there and knows someone else that did something like this, but I'm pretty sure I'm on Wiki right now. Wikipedia. Little reliable published information exists describing Rife's life and work. Yeah, because they don't want people to find out. They wanted to keep profiting off of this. American Medical Association, American Cancer Society. mainstream science. He died August 5th, 1971. He was an American. Let's see, a report published by the Smithsonian. Wait, I've skipped something. Little reliable published information exists describing his work. In the 1930s, he made several optical compound microscopes and, using a movie camera, took time-lapse microscopy movies of microbes. He also built microscopes that included polarizers. Rife claimed magnifications of 17,000 times or more for some of these microscopes. A report published by the Smithsonian Institute described one of these microscopes as equipped for, quote, a transmitted and monochromatic beam, dark field, polarized, and slit ultra illumination, including also a special device for crystallography. It added that several doctors had attended a demonstration of another of Rife's microscopes and had been impressed by its clarity and high magnification. These are the kind of people that get shut up, that get silenced, deplatformed. Some of the observations Rife claimed to have made with his microscopes are, however, contradicted by modern findings. For instance, he reported that under certain conditions, typhoid bacteria changed into a much smaller form and claimed that most cancerous tumors contained a microbe that had no less than 5 forms, one of which was indistinguishable from E. coli, while another resembled a fungus. Rife also reported that a quote unquote beam ray device of his invention could destroy microbial pathogens. Rife claimed to have documented a mortal oscillatory rate for various pathogenic organisms, and to be able to destroy the organisms by vibrating them using radio waves of this particular frequency. According to the San Diego Evening Tribune in 1938, Rife stopped short of claiming that he could cure cancer, but did argue that he could devitalize disease organisms in living tissue, with certain exceptions. In a 1931 profile, Rife warned against medical fakers who claimed to cure disease using electrical vibrations, stating that his work did not uphold such claims. Okay. An obituary in the Daily Now, is that what actually happened, or is that who put that in here? Daily California described his death at the age of 83 on August 5th, 1971, stating that he died penniless and embittered by the failure of his devices to garner scientific acceptance. Rife blamed the scientific rejection of his claims on a conspiracy involving the American Medical Association, the Department of Public Health, and other elements of organized medicine, which had brainwashed and intimidated his colleagues. Big fucking surprise! Big surprise! He was halfway to curing cancer. Probably. That's my guess. Health fraud after his death. Interest in Rife's claims was revived in some alternative medical circles by the 1987 book by Barry Lyons, The Cancer Cure That Worked, which claimed that Rife had succeeded in curing cancer, but that his work was suppressed by a powerful conspiracy headed by the American Medical Association. I believe it. Yep, this is the guy. This is the guy I've heard about before. So if you haven't heard, now you know. There was a guy. He wanted to cure cancer. He was an inventor. His name was Raymond Rife. and he got silenced, just like a lot of other doctors have been silenced over other diseases as of lately. Well, like in the past 3 or 4 years. Um, and to add to that, a lot of the stuff they said are now being proven to be true. So let's just think about that one, shall we? I have such a. If you want to read the rest of that, go to Wikipedia, look up Royal Rife, because I'm not going to read any more of that. But I have such a passion for. I have such a passion for when somebody has something to say and they are pushed aside or they are silenced or they aren't given the respect to be heard, or there's some conspiracy against them, or there's some greedy power mongrel controlling factor, corporation, whatever it is, from the biggest of situations down to when I'm just like personally, like when I'm just like, if I have something to say, like you're blowing me off, like I'm not fucking intelligent or something. It's just fucking, it's the most fucking irritating thing. It feel like being invalid. Like it's just so, and I'm not saying I've probably done it to other people because it's been done to me so much in my life. Like feelings, not like my feelings not being validated. Uh, this is stuff that I work on, like how to get past it, with all the, like not having like resentment and all that for people that raised me. And then it carries over to when somebody else isn't giving me the respect to listen to me. Like, I'm not, I don't know, insulting my intelligence. I can't stand it. Because I tend to beat my own drum. And sometimes my drum might be off beat a little bit. But there's a lot of times, and that's just normal for anyone. But other times, my own beat on my own drum feels real good. Feels right, you know? It feels definitely like this is the right way, direction, thinking. This is the right frequency. And allowing others, just because there's some kind of popular response, or like, which is usually negative, because I don't go along with it, or I feel something's off about something, and I'm the one that's looked at as being difficult. But I just like when things don't feel. I like when things feel fair. But we all have things to work on. And you know what? I'm going to end this. I'm getting tired. I've been going for an hour and almost, it'll be an hour and 15 minutes. Happy Independence Day. Be careful with your fireworks. Don't blow off your fingers. Please do not shoot out your fireworks into the street where your delivery drivers are, and what else? If you have some drinks, don't go driving around. Be safe. Have a good time. And Do something you don't want to do. I was listening to a podcast and they said if you do something if you make yourself do something you don't want to do, it strengthens the part of your brain that makes you want to survive. So like force yourself to do something you don't want to do, whatever that may be. If there is something you like, let me see, it's the anterior mid cingulate cortex. It enlarges the will to live, which is the anterior mid cingulate cortex part of the brain. Do something to enlarge your mid cingulate cortex, anterior mid cingulate cortex today and tomorrow and the next day. And you get up and you're like, I don't feel like doing it. Just pop out of bed. Some days I get myself to do that. I'll want to lay in bed for another half hour or something, but I just roll my butt out of bed. You don't want to exercise? Just make yourself do 10 counter push-ups. Just put your feet back, put your hands on the counter, on the kitchen counter or something, or on a wall. And you don't have to go all the way down and do real push-up on the floor if you're not used to doing that. Just make yourself do 15 push-ups off the counter. Don't cheat. Keep your back straight. Or stretch. Just do some breath work. Meditate for 5 minutes. It's just something where if you catch yourself going, I don't want to do it. That's the challenge for until the next time. And then if you do get yourself to do something that you don't want to do, I'd like to hear about it. You put it in the comments or ask any questions you might have or give me feedback. Still doing the solo thing. I do plan on having a guest soon. I want to have local business owners and entertainers, comedians, musicians, artists. That's I want all those kinds of people. Anybody I'm interested in having a conversation with, really, to be on. I might try a live thing with my phone. Might try that. But hopefully soon, within the next month or so, I should have my first guest. I'm not 100% sure if somebody will be on before them, but our local brewery, where I'm training to be a fill-in bartender, is going to join the podcast. And we're going to talk to them about how they got started, what made them interested in brewing, and it should be a lot of fun, informative, and we're going to support our local business owners. And yeah, so that should be cool. All right. Well, everybody have a good night. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, congratulations. You have won absolutely nothing. You finished. That's good. You made it to the finish line. Sweet. All right. Have a good night. Love ya. I still don't know. I don't have an official tagline yet. Find something to laugh about. Just yuck it up. All right. Goodbye.